What is going on, y'all? Welcome to Joel Friday TV. Welcome back to Joel Friday TV. I am Joel Friday. A few announcements before we get started. Hit that like button, smack it, lay the smack down, and like, subscribe, and share button. Tell your peoples about the show so we get the subscribers up in the message y'all doing now. Help a brother out. As you guys know, we are live Monday through Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Punchy.tv. And at any point during the show, you can call in. 888-775-3773, 888-775-3773, and we could talk about what's on your mind, heart, chest, spirit. We can get into it, and you can call in and talk about it. And if for whatever reason you can't call in, but you still have a question or comment, or you just want to support the show, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JoelFridayTV, or go directly to the YouTube live chat, hit the super chat button, send your question or comments there, and I'll read them live on air. All right, cool. Really quick, no show yesterday. I was out, been having a little skin issues. Usually comes around this time of the season. I don't know if you guys can tell by my eyes, a little puffy, a little red maybe. I have skin issues that come around this season, and this year it came, a little harder than expected. But remember last year I had 2 styes in the eye and they were swollen. You guys remember that? I still did the show and they were here and they were kind of big and they lasted a little while. But then those went away. So this year something similar, but a lot different. Similar, but a lot different, meaning coming from the same place, but just manifested itself in different ways. So that's why I was out, but I'm feeling fine. I feel perfectly fine. But definitely an attack on my immune system for sure. For sure. But anyway, we back here, and today's what? Today's Tuesday. What does that mean? Today is True Crime Tuesday. All right. And I got a story to tell y'all. Listen, if you guys were, closed off to the other side, you're going to be open today. All right? You're going to be open today. So we going to make it happen. And I have a little message attached to the true crime story that I'm excited to get to. So, and I'll get to your super chats and your calls as well as they come, and we'll kind of go from there. But of course, his name is Luke, okay? And he was telling some peculiar stories. Joel, eat some curry. Get that orange in your blood. He was telling a peculiar story about what he was experiencing that was kind of odd to those who don't believe. So I thought it was a very interesting story, and I want to get to it. So Luke is this blonde hair, blue-eyed, white little boy who was about 2 to 5, I believe. He was having these, well, actually since birth. But since he was able to start talking, he's been explaining these things that he sees, right? And it all started when he was 2 years old, right? And Luke's mom was describing that as he was growing up, he kind of learned really quickly, right? He was very independent really quickly. He started speaking early. And he would learn certain lessons pretty quickly. And one of those lessons that he learned quickly was fire, right? You know how they teach kids, don't touch the fire because you're going to get burned. Or if you don't teach it, they touch the fire on their own and then they get burned. And that's the lesson, right? Well, the mom was saying that for whatever reason, he already knew and understood the lesson about fire before the concept was even introduced to him. So the mom thought that was kind of odd. And I want you guys to remember that detail. Because Luke is growing up, he started saying weird things, right? One time he told mama to the story here, and this is LW. This story is from LW on YouTube, okay? And they get into the details. But Luke tells his mom, my hair used to be black. No. She's like, I was told me that I was thinking like, your blonde hair, blue-eyed child, your hair has never been black. So that's kind of odd, but just kids' imagination. She's just leaving it alone. And then he goes on and points to her earrings, his mother's earrings. Those same earrings when I was a girl. What the? Now listen, my first thought would have been like, he might be a little homosexual. All right, you know what I mean? Like, he might just want to be a girl. That's would have been my first thought. Like, he's having these weird ideas about gender that maybe he already thinks he likes the opposite. That would have been my first thought, right? Because he's saying that he used to have these earrings when he was a girl. But the mom, having a little more common sense, maybe than I would have, said, so she lets it go, but she keeps it in mind, okay? And one day, they're out and about, and they're outside, and there's a ladybug, flying around, lands on Luke's little hand, and the mom, as moms do, like, what do you want to name the ladybug, right? Dad wouldn't do that, right? Dad ain't talking about what you gonna name him? What the? Dad flicking it away. But mom was like, look at the little ladybug, it's so cute, what you gonna name him? And then Luke says, Pam. And the mom was like, okay. What's going on here, right? She's thinking like, why Pam? That's a random name. And in my mind, again, I'm thinking like, okay, he wants to be Pam. He got gender dysphoria. That's what I'm thinking, right? But the mom's like, that's odd. But then she don't say nothing. She just kind of paying attention. Then every single toy, every single stuffed animal that he would come across or have, he would name it Pam. Right? So everything is Pam. And then one time they were decorating their house with these little like kid-like decorations that go on like the sliding glass door or like in different areas of the house. And one of on the decorations that they hung was an owl. And then the mom was like, what do you want to name the owl? What did he say? Pam. So at this point, she's like, okay, what's going on? So now she starts digging. She asks Luke, she says, well, sweetie, because that's how the mom say it, sweetie, who's Pam? And Luke says, I am. Okay. If I would have heard that immediately, I'm convinced homosexuality is involved here. Okay. I'm convinced he wants to be a girl, and we're going to have to figure out how to go about this. That's what my mind is thinking. Boom. And he's like, I am. But then he says, well, I was before I died, and God, and when I went to heaven, God sent me back down to earth, and I woke up in this body with a new mom, and you named me Luke. Okay. Listen. If I'm hearing that right there, I'm gone. Listen, I'm telling my wife, we got to start anew. All right. I'm joking, of course. But I'm telling my wife, we got to start a new child. We need a new one. Ain't no way. He talking about some, all that I died and then I woke up and now they call me Luke. So she's telling him this. Mom is freaked out at this point. She doesn't know what to do, right? She's confused. She's not knowing what's going on. But her husband is like a skeptic, right? He's one of those guys that doesn't really believe into this stuff. He's not, and she was too. They believe in science. They're not into the whole religious thing, but she calls her mom, and her mom is like, listen, something's going on here. Do you believe in what do you call that thing? Reincarnation. And the mom's like, girl, if you don't chill with that reincarnation stuff, he ain't no reincarnation type of thing, right? Because she was just unbeliever. She just doesn't believe that stuff. And the mom's like, well, you should just consider all things on the table. So she lets that go, but tells the husband doesn't believe it, right? He's like, okay, lady, come on. What are we talking about here? So of course, as the average person would do this, the same thing is what she does. She lets it go, right? She don't look into it. She don't try to figure out what's going on. It's just a young little kid that just has an imagination, and maybe he's just saying things, and he's saying the right things, and he's saying things that nobody taught him to say, but let's just say that it's his imagination. So she lets it go. They're sitting down and they're in the living room watching TV. TV's on, and they're watching a movie, and in the movie, this building blows up. Boom, right? A side of the building just blows up, and fire comes out the building. And then Luke gets scared, right? He's like, I don't want to see this. And the mom is like, what's wrong? What's wrong with you? I don't want to see this. This scares me. And she's like, well, why does it scare you? She said, because this is how I died. I would have ran again. That would have been the last and final thing that we gotta do something with this child. Baptize him, take him to Israel, put him in the river. Something would have had to happen, right? Call the pastor, call the Pope. Something would have had to happen, right? But she's like, okay, like what do you mean? Like, what do you now at this point she's trying to dig into his explanation. She's trying to dig and ask more questions, which is smart to understand, like, why is he thinking this, to get to the root. So she says, well, what do you mean, Luke? This is just a movie. This is not real. He's like, duh, Mom, I know this is not a real movie, and I didn't die exactly like that. I know that that's not real. The way I died is that there was a building just as big, but there was a fire, and I jumped off. And at this point, Mom is cooked. She's like, okay, this is too much for me. This is scary. What am I gonna do? So at this point, she's questioning this stuff, right? She's scared. She's wondering what's going on. So she does a little research. She looks and digs on the computer, right? Google help you out. ChatGPT. She's asking ChatGPT what's going on, right? ChatGPT tell her all these details and all this stuff, and then she's looking and she finds this story, because now what information does she have? She has information about a person named Pam, a person who died in a fire, right? And she has these details of this stuff, right? So these little details that she learned, or a person with black hair. So she has these details. She looks them up, and she's able to get some, right? She finds some stuff. And there was a fire, a hotel fire, where many people were injured, but one lady died. And she died by jumping off the building. And at this point, Mom is already cooked, right? And she's like, oh my God, this is crazy, right? And then here's the twist. She looks at the area, she sees that it's like an area predominantly known for like having like black community. So she was wondering, like, well, what color was your skin? And then Luke says black. So Luke was a black lady. Luke was a black. Now, it seems so wild and crazy, right? But it gets even deeper. It gets even deeper. It gets even more wild. But right now, at this point, Luke, this blonde-haired, blue-eyed 4-year-old little boy, right, is claiming that his name is Pam and he a black lady, right? Tell that story to anybody, it's hard for them to believe. What the? But for whatever reason, his stories, his explanations are matching up. He ain't on Google researching this stuff and playing a trick on mom and dad. He's 4 years old. And mind you, this started when he was 2, right? So she looks it up, finds this stuff, and she's like, okay, I need to figure out the proof here. I need some proof. I need to figure out what's going on. I need to see if this is real or not, because right now this is scary, right? So what she does is she puts Luke to the test. She's like, I'm going to test him. I'm going to see. We're going to find out. And she prints out a bunch of pictures of different people. She finds a picture of Pam, the girl that died in the hotel fire, prints it on a paper with other faces of other ladies, right? Other random faces of random ladies, right? Pam is in there. She brings the piece of paper to Luke with the dad there. And mind you, the dad's skeptical. He's like, listen, this is Luke's imagination. Don't overreact. You're tripping. You're tripping. It's fine. It's just, this is not, come on. Reincarnation, ghost. What are we talking about here? You know what I mean? That's the dad's attitude. And then the mom puts the picture in front of Luke at the table and then doesn't tell Luke who Pam is. She just simply asks Luke, do you recognize anybody in this photo? Luke looks. He's like, I actually do recognize one lady right here. Boom. That's Pam. That's it. That's it for me. He done. He's done. I don't know how we're going to figure out a way to do this, but he can't stay here no more. He got to go live with somebody else. We got to, listen, put him in jail. Something got to give. So he points to Pam, who died in a hotel fire in 1993, right? They're like in the 2000s, right? And he knows this black lady and recognized her face after the mom went and found research of Pam, who died in a hotel fire, who jumped off the top of the hotel and died, and went to heaven and came back as Luke. So everyone's questioning, and at this point, the dad is a believer. He's like, okay, there ain't nothing else to, he done said it. I mean, he done pointed out. What else are we supposed to do? He's something's going on here. So the parents now believe that something's going on outside of just imagination, outside of something real is happening here, right? They don't name it as reincarnation. They don't name it that according to reports. They don't name it as that, but they know something. They became believers that whatever was happening to their son. So after that, as the story ends, the mother mentions that, or they mention in the video that after this incident, Luca never spoke about Pam again, or was never afraid of fire like he once was before. So the spirit left. Whatever happened, it was gone. What was the purpose of it? I don't know. Maybe to make the parents believers, maybe to open them up into that there's another world that exists beyond reality, beyond this planet, this realm of existence. Whatever it was meant to teach, whatever happened, the parents now became believers that something else exists other than science, right? Because they believed in like science and stuff like that. So I bring this story up, okay? I bring this story up because I've been thinking about something. When I came across this story, it made sense to me that I wanted to explain. But before I explain this, a lot of people, I want to give you guys an example because I just remembered. Because I almost skipped over it, but I just remembered. is that a lot of people right now watching, listening, are probably thinking like, Joel, you believe in this stuff? What's wrong with you? This is why you be doing that. How you be doing? You naive, the stuff like that. And that's cool. That's cool. But I had a cousin who died when he was 17. I think I was like 5'4", something like that. He died when he was 17. He got shot in the heart and on the side, something like that. He was getting in a fight with these guys. These guys tried to jump him, and he fought him, but he beat them all up. And at the end of it, they pulled out a gun and shot him, right? And he died. He died when he was 17. He was still in high school. I remember the incident too, not him getting shot, but I remember the time where everybody was sad, and the funeral and all that stuff. I remember, like, I have glimpses of that. But the point is that I think about 8 years later, my little brother was born, right? His name is Joshua. But my little brother was born on the same day that my cousin was born, right? So they shared the same birthday, the cousin that died. So my mom named my little brother's middle name after my cousin, Anthony, right? So my brother, when he was probably like 3, 4, same age, we were outside and my uncle was living with us, and he was the father of the cousin that died. And my brother used to say little crazy stuff, similar stuff, right? But one time he said that, I miss Anthony, right? And my uncle looked at me and my mom like, what the? He said, and my brother was like, I remember he was on his little bike. My brother just casually out of nowhere, randomly and casually, just like, I miss Anthony. And then he was like, I remember when he got shot. My uncle's eyes were like, he's like, and I don't know if somebody asked him where he got shot, but my brother goes, yeah, he got shot in the heart and in the side. That's how he died. And my uncle took off. I'll tell you, black people react different to things, okay? My uncle took off running, right? He's like, what the? He ran away. And my brother just kept going on the cycle. And my brother would say little things like that, like often, not as dramatic and not as often as Luke in the story, but he had little moments of that where he would see things and say little weird things. So when I came across the Luke story, for one, I'm a believer of possibility. So I'm already not denying much of anything, right? Because if I don't know, why am I going to close myself off to the possibility? I think that's an injustice. I think you do yourself a disservice to close yourself off to things. So I always keep an open mind. But on top of that, I already had a situation that I seen myself happen in my brother, that we still talk about that story today. So it's possible. The point is that there is I'm not going to say that there's such thing as reincarnation. People can die and come back in another body and live a whole new life. I don't know about that, and I'm not going to speak on that. I don't know about that. But what I do know is that there's another world outside of this one. I think most people know that, right? There's a spirit world outside of this one, okay? And I think most people believe that, and this is the message I want to say, is that most people believe there is a spirit world. But what people don't believe is the possibilities that come from that spirit world, right? Because now when we start talking about the details, everyone's a skeptic. But I think that like I said, that's a disservice that we do. I think that all people ought to be open to the possibilities. Now, I'm not saying that we are just to blindly believe everything. I'm not saying that we should just believe everything. But when you don't, but if you're not open to it, you don't believe anything. You're not going to see anything. Because there's a kingdom that is not of this world that we hear about in the scripture, that we hear, here and there throughout life. There's an existence after death, or even to now on earth right now, that is not seen, right? That we can't see. That is God's kingdom that has different rules, different systems, a different way of living than this actual reality, in this actual world. And we know that. Why? Because some of us are waking up and we're starting to see that things are not as they seem, things are not as they appear, right? There's a different way of living, right? Learning about forgiveness. That's not a natural custom that is taught in the world today, but that's a spiritual principle, right? But there's a different life, a different way of being, but a different way of seeing as well that we don't quite always see until you start to wake up more and more and more. But I found that in people that they're not open to the possibilities of there being another existence. Because when the details get too imaginary, that's when people start to doubt. And I understand, that's fine, right? Because like some things may be dramatic and overboard. Like I understand flying people. I understand. But the worst thing that anybody ever can do is be closed off to the possibility. Because God is a God of possibility. It says it in the Bible there. I ain't making it up. God is a God of possibility. He wants us to be open, not delusional. I ain't saying delusional because I know that's where people are going next. I ain't saying delusional, but open to the possibility. Because when you are open to the possibility, then God can give you more. He can show you more. He can trust you more, because this life, the reality, is way too small in our comprehension than God's kingdom is. It's a whole different structure, set up, and everything. But there's so many different things that if we saw and we weren't prepared to see what that looks like, we would lose our minds. So he gives glimpses or little examples or things to where we can kind of have an idea of what life is like. So just like a child, when his imagination is endless, you know what I mean? Like children believe that anything and everything is possible. They doubt nothing, which is why they're able to see more things than we do. That's why they're entrusted with a lot more things than we do. Because for one, they don't overreact when they see it. And for two, they can handle it and they're not judging it. But the same way a child's imagination is endless is how our imagination ought to be when it comes to possibility, because God is a God of possibility. And we want perfect peace, and we want these things, and we want freedom. We want all these things. But as you start to get closer to those, there's another life that you also start to recognize. And you can't get there if you're closed off. So I say that to say to this kid story, I believe it. I believe it. I've experienced, my little brother was acting up, man. When I tell you, and he don't even remember none of that stuff. He'd be like, what? I did that? He's grown now. He's like 25 now. But I believe it. Not because they said it either, because it's very, very, very. We already know that there's stuff going on. And just as much as there's a spirit kingdom of God, there's a kingdom of hell too. Very much exists. So anyway, that's what I wanted to get into. You can call in 888. There is some lines open. 888-775-3773. 888-775-3773. I want to hear you guys' opinion. I want to hear what you guys think. Do you guys think that that's real? Do you guys think that? And listen, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. I'm okay with that too. I may not be seeing something entirely correct. Prove me wrong. Let's get into it. Right? We can talk about it. We can have a discussion. We can debate a little bit. I'm cool with it. All right, you can let me know. And let me know maybe if you have a similar story that you can relate. I want to hear. But let me check Superchats really quick. Let me see. My man Eric Carlin. Oh. Wait, first, before I do buy me a coffee, I like to check YouTube first. YouTube first. What's today? Today is the 3rd. All right. Harmony Grits with the super chat here on YouTube says, feel better, Joel. I appreciate that, Harmony. Thank you. I feel fine right now. It's just really like my skin. But I appreciate that, Harmony. Shout out, Harmony. Thank you. Cap and Cook says, Joel, show us the dance moves you used to riz the ladies. You used to riz the ladies. Show us the dance move you used to riz the ladies. Listen, can't do that now. No more. I'm married man now. Can't be doing no riz lady dance moves no more. Those gone. All right, those had to go in the trash bin. I had to let those go. So those don't exist not here no more. Cap and Cook. He goes on to say, now show us the moves you did. Show us the moves you did when you got rid of Pete. That's easy. I can show you that one. I'll show you the move I did when I got rid of Pete right here. Hey, Pete. You ready to go home with your family and friends? That's what I did to Pete. And he was fine because he came back and crawled back and wanted to play again. So that was just our relationship. You guys just don't understand. That was our relationship we had. We had an understanding. We had an agreement there. So that's how Pete went. Kappa Cook goes on again to say, I used to be Pete and then I reincarnated to this body to tell you you beta. Good one. That's hilarious. Straight to the ocean. Amazing stuff. Let me check one more thing. P had to go, y'all. I don't care what you say. Some of you guys still mad at me about Pete, but Pete had to go. It was his time. He was bringing diseases. All right. Eric, my man Eric on Buy Me a Coffee here. You know what? I'm going to come back to you, Eric. I'm going to get to a call. Okay? I'll be back at you, Eric, in a second. Let me go to Chase out of Texas. Chase, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Hey, Joel, what's up? Been a while.
How's it going, Chase? All is well.
Yeah, so the kid and the reincarnation situation there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you know, it's highly possible that kid just saw some stuff going on, like saw the name Pam on a parents left the TV going, and he saw some kind of paranormal investigator stuff and saw the name Pam and thought it would be cool to just say, "Hey, my name's Pam," just to get attention.
But what you think? Well, how was he able to describe what happened in her death and her identity?
I don't know, spirits.
So you do admit that there is some kind of spirit encounter.
Probably. Kids are like, I think when you're a kid, they say that you're more susceptible to seeing paranormal because your brain is a little less tuned in to the world, so it's more of it stands out more. They say this. I don't know if it's true, but they say that's the case. And a lot of times, if you look into the paranormal stuff, like with people claiming they had an experience, you look at when the kids have them. There's a lot of debunked stuff where people really, really buy into it, and then they find out later, oh no, the kid had someone in the family die of this name, and then they just used it later. If it's like spirits, I mean, even mediums, psychic mediums, I don't think they're talking to the actual dead person. They're talking to a spirit that knew that dead person.
But isn't that dead person a spirit?
Yeah, sure. But if you believe in heaven and hell, or even if you believe in reincarnation, why would the spirit stay right here, right there in that spot, just to what? Talk to people that are alive?
I don't know, possibly. But that's what I'm wondering. I mean, that was my point of the whole story, was that there was some type of spiritual encounter, but it seems like you agree that it could have been a spiritual encounter, right?
Sure.
Yeah, that was all my point. Now, yeah, the details could be, spotty, but the way he was able to know who Pam was, the way he was able to identify the way she looked, the way he also mentioned that she was black before he even knew what she looked like or all this stuff, it just seems too fishy for me to just say that he just saw some random things on TV and used those. Doesn't it?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Unless you want to just straight by that the kid was a black woman named Pam and his it's a little more far-fetched, really, but...
Well, do you believe that that's possible?
It's possible that the kid heard this stuff, but is it possible that he's literally was the woman? I don't think so.
Right. I mean more so of like possible that the spirit of this woman existed around him, or maybe in him, or maybe spoke these words to him, or this understanding to him.
I don't, because if the woman is dead, her spirit's not just going to hang around to talk to.
How do you know, though?
People.
How do you know?
I don't, but my best guess would be that no.
But is there a possibility?
Well, the woman was a damn witch or something? Yeah, she was talking to spirits, and then those spirits maybe I believe that like people can be more sensitive to spiritual stuff, but if the kid was just born with a higher sensitivity, then sure, maybe.
Well, I'm with you. I'm with you, and I don't like the details. I can't confirm or deny are true or anything. I'm with you on that. The only thing is that what seems like you agree is that the possibility that could be the case. Maybe it's witchcraft, whatever it may be. It's possible that something was happening according to the story, and that was just my point.
Yeah, I just wanted to call and pick that apart for shits and giggles, I guess.
Well, right on. Well, I appreciate it, Chase.
Yeah.
Any last comments?
That's it, man.
All right, thanks, man. Call me again.
Yep.
Zit on YouTube says, just like money grants passage for the worldly things, the spiritual realm grants passage for us to a greater meaning and purpose, which has authority over worldliness. Zit. Right on, brother. I'm with you. I agree. I think there's so much that we don't know, right? There's so much that we don't know. And it's more interesting when we're curious about what we don't know. And it's more interesting when we are open to the ideas of what could be going on. Because it's just, I don't know, interesting. To me, at least. So that's why I say don't close yourself off to the possibility. But you're right, Zit. Spiritual realm grants passage for us to a greater meaning and purpose, which has authority over worldliness. I agree. But I want to ask too, and I'm gonna get back to the calls, is that on Punchy TV we played a clip. It was like a 3 or 4 minute clip of a guy explaining his interpretation of Satan falling from heaven. You guys remember that? On Punchy, he goes into great detail. And a lot of you guys don't believe it, and that's cool. I understand. But at least be open. Come on. I believe it. I'm not saying I believe every last detail, but a lot of the things he was saying made sense to me based off of thoughts that I've already had about that, just interest that I've already had in certain things, like my own reflection on like, how did Satan as an angel fall away? How is that possible? I thought in heaven you can't fall away anymore, type of thing, right? So when I would pick that apart and start thinking about it, I would come to my conclusions, and they kind of lined up with my guy. So I'm not saying every detail is true. I don't know. But I think he's saying a lot of truthful things there. That's my opinion. Let me go to Germaine out of Canada. Germaine, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Hey, Joel, how are you?
All is well. How you doing, Germaine?
I'm doing well.
Right on.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, so I got a story for you. I don't know if what the kid was saying is true or not. Hard for me to say, but I remember when I was a kid, my grandpa, before he was with my grandmother, he was with a woman before, and she died. And they buried her in the back of our yard because my grandpa has a lot of land.
Uh-huh.
We have her house on that land, and then she would bury like in the back, far in the back. And as a kid, I don't know what she looked like. Never heard of her before. I have no idea of this woman. But I remember when I was around the back of the yard, just playing as a kid.
Yeah.
Swinging on a swing song. I saw the woman rose up out of the grave, which is crazy. And when I describe it, like obviously I run away. I have no idea what that was, but that's just scary.
How old were you?
But I don't remember. I was really young, probably like 5, 6. I don't remember, but I was really young. And I ran away.
Was this at nighttime or?
Oh, this was during the day.
Oh, during the day. Okay.
Oh, yeah. And I went and told my mom about it and described the lady. And they're like, how do you know who that person is? Like, this woman died before you were even born.
Wow.
There's not even a photo of her for me to see what she looked like.
Wow.
Right? So it's just interesting.
So you believe that is very interesting, actually. It's kind of scary to see that the grandma just rise up out of the ground. And was she like walking towards you or something, or you just seen her come out the ground?
So it's a wife that my grandpa had before my previous grandmother. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was on the swing song and I just saw this thing rose up out of the grave with a hat on, and she's in this, I can't remember what color dress, but I described it to my mom, and they're like, oh, because they for them to believe me, I had to describe it to them, and they're like, you saw her for real because she always wear that big hat that you're talking about. You know, back in the days, older people, they used to wear like big hats on
Yeah.
their heads, stuff like that.
It,
Oh yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say is that see that's the thing. I like stories like that because how could you deny that? How could you deny that? Only a person can say that you're making it up or whatever because but for it to add up in such a way to where you had no idea who this person looked like because for one it wasn't a grandma of yours, right? It was a former wife of your grandpa's. So you have no reason to have this recollection of this person. So for you to be able to describe what you saw to people and it add up to your family, like I don't know. Sometimes I don't understand how people can doubt it. But so you believe? Let me ask. You believe that the story I told about the kid is real? Then
I mean, I don't know. I have no idea, but it is possible because
okay,
crazy things happen and you just can't put one and two together because
yeah,
the spiritual world exists, right? So
yeah,
you don't know.
yeah. That's a good point.
When I remember, like, even like for what my mom and dad used to tell me when I was younger, it's like I sleep with my eyes like half open.
Yeah,
So in our saying, they would be like, "Oh, you're able to see ghosts in the natural world because you're sleeping, but you're watching because your eyes are half open while you're sleeping."
oh,
And I see a lot of ghosts when I was younger and dream about people that died. So it's hard for me to say yes or no. It's possible because I know a bunch of things that happened to me when I was a kid.
right. So you would see. So there was more than one instance where you would see certain things.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's interesting because my sister when she used to see things, even as a teenager, she used to see things, but she used to see like evil things, like dark spirits and stuff like that that would frighten her to where she couldn't sleep alone type of thing. But she used to always see things and see images or see figures and stuff like that. I think some people just have our brains or our minds are so like complex that we don't they say that we don't even access like even entirely we really could what our brains really could do, but there's so many different gifts and that people have that not everybody has, that it's hard to even deny to me that this stuff doesn't exist. You know what I mean? There's so many unknowns that I can't explain that it'll almost be ignorant for me to deny. So I believe anything is possible, really.
Oh yeah. You're right because as a kid, you don't know off the world. It's only when you grow up they conform you to this world, right?
Yeah.
So you don't know. It's possible.
Well, right on, Germaine. I appreciate it, man. Good story.
All right, Joel. Nice chatting with you.
All right, man. Have a good one. Amazing stuff. Oh, I got to get to the super chats. Let me see. Eric. Oh, I said I was going to get to Eric. Shout out, Eric. I have it here. Eric is coming for y'all. Okay. Eric says, with a donut, should he have hit the child? Eric was responding to either my episode or Punchy episode where we played a clip of this father sticking up for his son's bully, which is this like young girl, maybe like 10 or 11, excuse me, and she disrespects the father by leaning in, and the father said, "Don't say that in front of my son," and she says, "Okay, bye-bye," to the father, leans in, the father smacks the little girl in the face. I said that it could be justified, and everybody else was saying that he should go to jail and stuff like that. And I understand that. And maybe he should because we don't know the full context. But Eric is responding to that, saying, "Should he have hit the child?" Eric says, "No, it's wrong. It's rarely a justification to hit anyone, especially someone else's child. I don't know what's if he says, if I don't know what's right or wrong, I'm stuck in limbo, confusion. I'm stuck in thinking, which is wrong in itself. When I think I'm evil, I make justifications for my selfish behavior using my imagination. Then I end up hitting little girls, figurative speaking. This is where I have to push back against that, Eric, is that if you don't know right and wrong, it's not that it's not that you're stuck in limbo or you're confused. It's that you have faith that God is going to guide you. That's my mentality about it. Is that not having an opinion about right or wrong leaves you left to just trust that situations you shouldn't be in, it'll be revealed to stay away, or situation that you should be in, it'll be revealed to go towards, right? But you let that just be a guiding light opposed to now naming it right and wrong, right? Because then you lock it in and then maybe use it in another situation where it doesn't apply. And now you have this teaching of right and wrong, when in actuality, we should just be guided by the Spirit. That's just my point about it. It's illegal to hit anyone. Had the father gone to jail, he would have created more problems for his family. The ongoing legal conflict would cause a greater disruption to their quality of life. People are asleep. They don't know what they do. The girl's parents traumatized her. It's her fault. She's a mess. Yes, Eric, I don't disagree. But think about what you're describing here as well. Is that you have painted a hypothetical scenario in your mind about the father being wrong for hitting that girl, and that the little girl is innocent and she shouldn't be hit. You've created that scenario in your mind already, and you're defending that scenario against my opinion with it. But you don't necessarily know if that scenario is correct, and neither do I, right? So it's best to leave it open as well. Leave it open and say, maybe he was right, maybe he was wrong. Let's not have an opinion, because you don't know the situation. So that's just my point, Eric, but I appreciate it, and you're always showing love here. Eric sent some more, but I can't get to all of them. But Eric sends a few more here, but I'll get to them. I'll get to them. But I got to end shortly here. Pinocchio's helicopter with a few donuts here, no message. I appreciate that, Pinocchio. My last comment I want to say before I end here is this. Is that I just want you to ask yourself, when you see videos like that guy saying he's seen Satan fall and it seems so crazy, or you see like this kid talking about he was Pam, a black lady, when you see all these different things and you don't believe it, you're quick to deny it. I just want you to ask yourself, why? Why are you denying the possibility? Just ask yourself that. And whatever your answer is, send me a message. It don't even have to be a super chat. You can DM. That's all you got, really. A DM or something, or a super chat, or call in and tell me what conclusion you come to. Why do you not believe that it's possible? I'm not saying that for sure that's the truth, but why do you not believe that it's possible? Why are you denying it? Why are you a skeptic about it? If you can come up with the answer, I would love to hear it. I gotta go. I'm back here tomorrow for some more stuff, some more mess. We're gonna get into it. I appreciate you guys tuning in, the calls, the super chats, amazing stuff. American Anchor Baby's coming in right now in the next 5 minutes. You don't want to miss his show. He got some stuff. As always, make sure you check him out. Until next time, y'all. I'll see ya. Bye.
The views, information, thoughts, and opinions expressed during this show are the individual's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of the JLP Network or Bond. Their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The material and information presented here is for general information purposes only. The JLP Network and Bond name and all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owner, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service.
Tech Op